So now let me tell you a little story about this one time when I went to interview for a job at Walmart. Well, first of all, I didn't get the job, but secondly, I went in at about 6 a.m. or so for the interview, and I get sent to some back room, and I'm sitting there for a while waiting for the interviewer, and then all the morning shift people come in, and then the manager comes in, and I kid you not, they have this like borderline cult like prep meeting or something there. And you could tell it was being phoned in, but it was just really creepy looking. And as soon as I saw that, I'm just like, nah, not for me. Nope, I'm not. I'm not getting put into the Walmart hive mind. All right. And again, I didn't get the job, so it didn't matter. But and I'm not really a Walmart person anyway. If you can't tell, okay. I don't think I have the social skills to exist in a Walmart for more than 5 minutes, but not the point. The point is that I'm bringing this up is because I recently read an article about Walmart. And the article, the main focus was this woman called Donna Morris, who's the executive vice president and chief people officer. I'm assuming that means HR, being in charge of HR. I don't know what else a chief people officer would do, but anyway, basically the meat of this article was her talking about how people aren't going to want to hire a Debbie Downer, which I didn't think anyone under the age of 80 still said that, but we're bringing it back, I guess. You know what? I can support that. We're bringing it back. Anyway, basically, and she talks the whole thing about how companies are going to want to hire somebody with that gung-ho spirit. They're going to want to hire the people with stars in their eyes who come in and they look up at the poster of the CEO and they're like, that's going to be me. They want people who, oh, was a quote, I have this written down because I sure as shit wasn't going to remember all this, but put their hand up to take on more. And essentially saying that they want people who are going to come in, they're going to put their heart and soul into their minimum wage Walmart job. They're going to get all in there. They're going to be part of the Walmart conglomerate, okay? And admittedly, she does say that it's not realistic for someone to be happy all the time and absolutely positive and, perfect happy drone that no doubt her boss probably wants the people to be. But and that's all well and good, but the another part of this, and probably the more bizarre part of this article I wanted to get to, was one quote from another guy called Michael Ramlett, who's the CEO of a global data intelligence firm called Morning Consultant. I don't know what that is, but that's what he is. And he had a quote in this article, which is demonstrating radical intellectual curiosity, like researching a new AI tool or using software your competitors are using, then sharing with your boss or manager also goes a long way. So basically, they want you to go out, or at least this guy wants you to go out, look at all this, do all this research on stuff, look at the competitors' stuff, do a tad bit of industrial espionage, if you will, all right? And then go back and report to your manager, who will send it up the chain to the cabal of shareholders or whoever is up there in the skyscraper, and they can use this information to adapt and overcome or whatever the fuck they do. So, all of this said, all this by all these people, these CEOs and vice presidents, brings me to the main point I'm trying to make here, which is that if you're working as a cashier or a janitor or a shelf stocker at a Walmart, you're not putting your heart and soul into that, okay? You're there to get your money, to work 8 hours for a very thankless and unappreciated job, and you're taking that money to pay for college, which you're going to need to do in order to get anywhere near a corporate job these days, or they're using that money to pay for rent or gas or whatever they need to pay for, okay? Nobody is gonna go in there starry-eyed looking up and being like, that's gonna be me, and then climbing the corporate ladder by going from like a stalker to like a manager and then this and that and then eventually becoming up in the higher ups, okay? There might be that one person out of like a million people that are gonna manage to do that over the span of like 40 years, but most people, okay, the people who look up at this picture of the CEO and are like, that's going to be me one day, those people are going to business school so they can be that one day, all right? They're not working their way up the ladder the old fashioned way to do that, all right? So essentially, I think the thing is that people like that, I don't know these people obviously, I don't know their background or anything, I'm not throwing shade at them specifically, but the thing is, you get CEOs and vice presidents or presidents or all these high up executives who have a disconnect from what it's like to be on the bottom rung. And essentially, what they want is the workers to come in and put in more effort than they can realistically do, all their effort in so they can make more money, so the company can make more money. Okay? Don't, by all means, okay? By no means I don't know what I'm saying there, but basically, Walmart wants you there so they can make money. That's what they want. The corporate people of Walmart, they don't give a crap. They don't give a flying shit about their janitors or their bottom rung workers, okay? We've all heard the horror stories, okay, from a lot of them Walmart, but just these major companies anyway. You hear the horror stories. They go in there and they're getting paid like bottom tier stuff and to do a ton of extra work. They had a huge lawsuit back like a decade or two ago where in the Chicagoland area, so around where I live, they had Walmart's came in and violated a whole ton of labor laws and got a huge lawsuit thrown against them. And basically, what they did is they did some shady stuff with a temp agency and had their workers come in early and stay late and work through their breaks and again violate a ton of labor laws. And it's not just Walmart either doing this, other companies do this too, like Nestle, pretty infamous for how they treat everybody, really. Nestle's like the worst one though, but point is though, the Walmart executives don't give a shit about you, the bottom rung workers, okay? Or me, the grunt laborers. So you shouldn't care about the company as a whole. If you're going in and you're working on the bottom tier, you go in, you put in your hours, you get out of there, and you focus on whatever you want to do in life, okay? And if you like Walmart that much and you want to go in there and go in and spy on other companies for your manager, by all means, who am I to judge? But you want it for most people. You go in, you put in as much effort as you feel like putting into your minimum wage Walmart job or other business job or whatever you do, and then you go out and live your own life. You got limited time on this planet. You don't need to be giving any more of it to Walmart than they're already taking, okay? You need to live your own life. You don't need to be doing research into AI or other companies and reporting it to your manager on your own time, okay? You live your own life, you get your money, you do whatever. And you know what? If you're going to be a Debbie Downer at your Walmart job, everyone has those days, okay? That doesn't mean be a dickhead to everybody, but you put in to Walmart as much as you need to get your paychecks. That's the moral of the story here. So, yeah.